All right, so we bring in Jordan for the week 5 on the show. I mean, it was very eventful. We're gonna use this week 5 intimate sessions to kind of break this down with you one-on-one. You had Nat, and going into Sunday, you can, you see this is going to be a dogfight right off the bat. I think Carr v. Rogers, Hall v. Jones, Cook v. Mixon. I mean, the matchup is just like really nice across the board. Obviously, Kelsey is one of your big dogs, but I just really like the way this one plays up before the scores come down. So what are you thinking on Sunday, getting ready to go against Nat? Nat's like 3-1 at this point too.
Yeah, so I absolutely agreed with you. I thought it was going to be a dogfight. I thought it was going to be pretty close. I liked my chances. I felt like I had some guys that were definitely due for some bounce back weeks. But going into the matchup, it was anything but a sure thing. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Did you know where you were going to go with GameBreaker 21 for your side?
Oh, absolutely. It was a no-brainer for me. So I've been on kind of the Derek Carr roller coaster all season, and frankly, I'm just ready to get the hell off of it. And so I made a trade. I brought in Tom Brady. I still have Carr here, and I'd love to plug Brady into the lineup, but I've got that double-up option with Carr that I haven't used, and so, the plan all along, trot Derek Carr out, use that double up, and then going into next week when he goes on bye, I have Tom Brady to kind of insert and move forward with and can, cast off Carr for a more appealing waiver wire acquisition.
So strategy, like long-term, I mean, you're going all the way out, not just for this week on this one. When you look at her roster, did you know who you wanted to get? Again, you had to pick the position. I hope that player stayed there, but did you know who you wanted?
So for me, it really came down to two guys. It was either going to be Aaron Rodgers or Jamar Chase. The reason I ended up going with Rodgers is I thought he had a pretty juicy matchup against the Giants, who I kind of think are, playing a little bit better than they should. I didn't expect them to come out and smack the Packers. It happens, but I thought Aaron Rodgers would have a big day. And I also was concerned with trying to chase Jamar Chase and maybe ending up boosting a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster or something. So it ended up being Aaron Rodgers.
So you realize if you had picked it on my screen right now, it would say car chase. We have a car chase going on. As long as we're throwing out puns, I'm throwing out to you. So you did go car. Like you said, you were kind of hoping for that double up. You were hoping that she would pick Carr also, and you'd be able to double up those points. She picked Schuster for herself. You had said as much on the show, and she did as well. I mean, it was really the obvious choice looking at her roster, and I think both you kind of knew where her 21 points were going to go. He does underperform as expected. Carr does overperform as expected versus Kansas City, because again, you're hoping for that double up, and so everything kind of plays where you're both expecting it to at this point. You didn't have Carr at this point, and going into Monday, well, let's finish this up before we get into that, because that's a big thing. We see the scores are separated enough at the end that you didn't need much, but it wasn't like that at the end of Sunday night. Were you actually in the lead at the end of Sunday night?
Yeah, so my team kind of went bananas, man. As soon as I turned on my app, Gabe Davis was already at 20 points. Breece Hall had his breakout game. Like, everything really broke right for me this week. And so really a lot of the Kelsey stuff was overkill, but kind of, going to your point of how I thought it would be more of a dogfight with Nat. My thought process is, if I use the 21 on Carr and she doesn't, kind of worst case scenario, I'm also doubling up Carr anyway. So to me, Carr's floor this week was 42 points, and I'll take that all day, obviously. And the upside, if she had chosen him, now we're talking about 84 points. And if I got 84, you're not beating me, period.
So we're going to talk about that 84 actually, but she goes with Breece Hall because, again, looking at your roster, she said that she expected you to go Carr and she wasn't going to give you that double up, and so her next option was Breece Hall. to try and negate that option there. You lose the 10 points off. It didn't really matter this week. You had said we're going to go Rogers. You take a little bit from her, but it really didn't matter at this point, and you walk away with the win. You still get the double up on Carr, and so you finish up. As we see, you actually gained almost 12 points from that double up on Carr. Your score pretty much stands on its own. You didn't quite even gain a point overall, and you end up at 210.55 high score for the week. And so what I was saying that I wanted to get into on this one, let's go back to the rosters so we can see them. If we look at Carr and Kelsey, that accounted for almost 64 points of your roster. So then we go back to the final score, and 64 points would have took you to 226 if my math is right. No, 236. And so it becomes a much closer game without that, and then take more away with the fact that if you didn't have the double up. So if you were sitting there without the double up, you would have lost this match.
It would have certainly been closer. That is for sure.
Because 189, what did we say they accounted for? 63 between Carr and Kelsey. So yeah, 189 minus 63.
I'm down there.
You're down.
But you also got to consider I played Carr for a reason. If Carr didn't have that double up attached to him, he would have already been on the waiver wires, and Brady would have been in there. I still don't think it would have been enough, but super happy with my
it looks like you would have won by 1.3. 1.3. You're right. You still would have won 1.3. That would have been kind of nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. I mean, you did have Carr, you did have the double up, and so it wasn't an issue, and you come up with the high score. You knew on Monday, so Sunday night, you knew you were pretty confident that you were going to win because you knew Kelsey and Carr were probably going to have a good night. Then they had really good nights. She had said that when she saw Gabe Davis on that first touchdown, that 98-yard touchdown, her words were, "I knew it was going to be that kind of Sunday." So she was mentally playing from behind the entire time, and then, like you said, your entire team just went ridiculous, honestly, for a 210 score. At what point did you know I got this? Because again, you're still not quite winning, I don't think. Or it's still a close game. It can still go either way on Sunday.
So I felt pretty confident going into Monday that I had it. There's always if she did this and I did this, right? Variance here, but I would be lying to you if I said I expected Kelsey to score 4 touchdowns in the game, right? So he might have had a little bit of overkill, but I did expect him to have a nice game. So I felt pretty confident going into Monday that this one was in the bag.
With regards to the high score, did you think that you had a shot at the high score?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So me and Sir Frosty were messaging back and forth. It kind of looked like it was going to be a dogfight till the end. I did kind of keep my cards held though this time, and I didn't tell him I had the double up on Carr. But yeah, I knew it was going to be really close between him and I. And I also didn't realize, and I don't think anybody did, that the GameBreaker, right? I guess you can only pick one of them. And so I probably spent 30, 40 minutes on Tuesday afternoon surveying the board, just kind of thinking, okay, so what the hell does this mean, right? And so, you look at some of these GameBreakers, it's just like, what can you possibly extract out of Limp Bizkit to figure out what kind of tricks you guys have up your sleeve? I definitely did put a lot of time into that, and then I kind of got the rug pulled out from under me, but it all worked out. So. Yeah,
we're gonna talk about that. You get the top score, you get the little video montage as the winner, and there you are. Seeing Alex's name, I threw that up from last week just because it was 187. I like the feeling I get in the back of my neck every time 187 comes up. But there you are.
It was perfect because it was perfect because that 187 from Alex not only was his first win, but it was also against me. So I felt like that was the perfect kiss from karma coming back to me for getting Elio a couple weeks back.
I think you were projected at 187 points too. I think you put that out. So going in, this was what the fab looked like. You were sitting at where'd we go? I just passed you 170. You get the 30 extra for the top score. You earn that. You're going to get to the fabulous fundraisers. First of all, everybody's doing a fantastic job on these fundraisers. I love all the work that everyone's doing. I love the fact that everybody took the time to put these together because you guys actually did all the legwork on this. You guys set up the accounts. You guys, sent the information, and now you guys are the ones earning it. And you especially are doing extra work because a lot of the $10 donations that are in the green right now over the past 2 weeks came from you. And you're really picking up the torch on this and understanding that, it's not about the fab as much as it is about the fabulous people that we're helping out through this initiative, through this program. What made you kind of not just worry about your own, but what made you kind of go out and donate to these other guys too?
Honestly, man, and I think I've kind of told you this in some private conversations, but I came into this competition kind of with a ruthless mindset, like, screw all these guys, I'm cutting throats, I'm doing whatever I have to do to win. What I kind of did not anticipate was what an awesome group you guys ended up putting together. And so for me, I just really enjoy the camaraderie with all of us. And, I've made some really good connections through this, and I really enjoy everybody that I'm playing against, which does make it kind of hard to pull out the knife sometimes. Sorry, Elio.
It doesn't help with strategy. Yeah.
yeah. But with that, man, I know I'm super passionate about my cause. I've donated thousands of dollars to it over the years, and I lost a really good friend in my childhood, and I kind of got to see firsthand, muscular dystrophy and, what an awful disease it is. And so it's so important to me. And, I look at these other people in here and I know these causes are just as important to them. And, when I look on that board and, I feel like I'm a little bit blessed. Now, I haven't raised the most money by any means, but I have a really good group kind of behind me that's helping me and supporting me. And, I know some of the other guys too, but do too, but some of these guys aren't, podcasters. Some of these guys aren't writing articles. Some of these guys don't have a following. And so even though they don't, it doesn't mean that their causes are less important, and it doesn't mean that they're less passionate about it. And so to me, this is just a way for me, to give back to some of those other things and so show support, and what I hate seeing up there is I hate seeing anybody with a 0. And so that's really who I've kind of targeted thus far with my donations. First it was Elio, then it was Chef Boyard DJ. And this week I actually am donating $10 to the Gary Sinise Foundation for Alex. And so they're all great causes. We're all super passionate about it. And, to me, there's nothing more that I can do or nothing better than I can do than to help give back to a little bit to each one of them. And, it's just $10, but those $10 add up over, the course of time. And whenever I think what's going to happen towards the end of the season, right, is I imagine this is going to come back into play. And I imagine as we gain some traction and everything here, I think people are going to see that. And I think they're going to want to donate more. And I just think it's awesome what we're doing. And this is honestly probably my favorite part of this contest.
Yeah, no, what I really like about this part of the contest is exactly what you said and exactly what you're doing. You talk about the zeros on the board. Some of those people with zeros they have a 0 in their own column and they have donated to other causes and other fundraisers and stuff. And you see everybody has a total. People may not have got anything this week, but everybody has a total except the Gary Sinise Foundation. And it's like you said, Alex isn't a podcaster. He doesn't have this big following. I mean, honestly, he works at night and sleeps a lot during the day, so to make up for it. And so he is kind of at a disadvantage to raise funds. So to see the rest of the group kind of rally around him and realize that over the last couple weeks and you picking up the torch and getting other people out of the zero column. Continue that. That's really, to me, what is special about it. And it does add up. So far it's added up to almost $2,000, and that's just an amazing thing for the folks involved with these organizations. And what's even more special, I think, or adds to it, not necessarily more, but adds to it, is almost everybody here has a personal relationship with their cause. You talked about watching a friend go through his fight with MDA and all these other services and funds that are out there. Again, the people involved have seen a lot of this stuff firsthand, and so it's very close to them, and you guys are reaching out and supporting each other, and that's what this is all about. I agree. This is a beautiful thing.
And you know, I'll say this with Chef Boy, our DJ, David, incredible dude. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know that guy and kind of learning his story and everything. And his particular foundation, the Andrew McDonough B+ Foundation, I didn't know this until I started talking to him, but you know, that's the exact organization that has helped his mom with her health problems.
Yeah,
and he's living that right now, you know, and you know, hell yeah, sign me up for helping out with that any way that I can.
100%. And you're not the only one, but I just think it's great that you kind of led the charge on this and other people are following behind it, because that's really, you know, that's how these things work. That's what it's all about. So if you guys want to help raise that $2,000 up, thearmchairathletics.com, where you can find their profiles on the YouTube channel where you're watching this very show right now, most likely. Go to thearmchairathletics.com, click on their profiles. You'll find the links and help these guys out. All the fundraisers are linked to Facebook, so if you go to their profile pages, you can find the links there as well. Do some good today. These guys certainly are. Help these guys out. Of the pot, we got $300 that gets distributed between everybody that gets at least $10. We get 9 people this week, $34. I rounded it up because I was feeling just inspired by how much good had been done, and that's the truth. I saw all the donations. I was like, you know what, I'm rounding this thing up. We're going to 34. Everybody gets it. That puts you at 234 with your top score, and you know, sitting in a really good spot going into next week as we see the GameBreaker about to come up. That waiver money is going to factor in this week, so it's going to be nice to have that money. It's got to feel good to be kind of sitting up there, because you weren't always that high.
Well, and so I think the single biggest piece of strategy so far in this game is the fab money. And so, you know, I started off by saying, hey, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go get my guy back. I'm going to spend it all. And that caused Elio to spend all of his money, but I waited back. And so I've been very, very focused on how I spend my fab money. And so last week I made that trade for Brady, and it left me a little bit light at wide receiver. And so I put out a couple of feelers. And so basically ended up buying Tyler Lockett for $50, and I bought Curtis Samuel for $50. Nothing, you know, spectacular or sexy, but those are playable pieces. And I did so and kind of set my limit, like, hey, if I can get 2 players for $100, that's going to put me just a couple bucks below a few people. Everybody's behind Nick. So Nick's got this huge lead, but I knew in doing that, even if I wasn't in the top spot, I'm still in that like competitive range. And so anybody that's not looking at this fab, like literally every week, they're going to be falling behind in this contest, because it's crucial. Because you know, I play in really deep leagues usually, right? And so I'm sorting through the Ashton Doolins of the world and on my waiver wires. And, you know, this league, you don't know if it's going to be Jonathan Taylor or Jamar Chase or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or, you know, whoever. So it's so important.
Yeah, no, it really is. Sorry, I didn't mean to roll that up on you, the GameBreaker slip of the finger. But yeah, Nick's sitting there at 348 right now. He's definitely in control of the fab, probably thinking along a lot of the same lines that you are right now. The GameBreaker comes up, and a little change, because what a lot of people didn't know is that you can only pick it once, and you've already picked it, and now everybody knows that. So it goes to this next person, and like I said, I think it's cool that you and Austin were sitting there going back and forth. You get the $30, but he gets to pick the GameBreaker. He's told us how much thought he also put into it, trying to figure out saw the board and decided that he's a big Sandlot fan, goes with the Squints GameBreaker, and we start to see it all play out. So the first thing that pops up is if you lose the match, you lose a starter and the points. So those points are gone off your roster. So naturally, the first thing anybody's thinking is, I don't want to lose, no problem. Then you find out that even if you win, you're going to lose a player also. You just lose it off the bench. And it's like, okay, well, even if I win, I'm going to lose a player, but on my bench, not a big deal. That's why they're there in the first place. Oh, great. Now I'm going to lose their points. The bench player's not even in there, but I'm going to lose their points off my total. And then we factor in that if the player scores less than 5 points, you're going to lose 10. So we know you're going to lose a player. We know you're going to lose 10 points regardless. And, oh, by the way, bye week start this week. So it's very possible that your opponent picks a bench player that's going to score 0 points. So now you're going to lose the bench, good bench player who's on bye week and 10 points. And the guy didn't even play. As you've had some time to process this whole thing this week, there's a lot to it, just like every game breaker. There's a lot of strategy going into it. Do you feel a little more comfortable going into Sunday than maybe you did on Tuesday?
Comfortable? Absolutely not. There's no comfort to be had in the trenches, like not even a second of it.
That's how you lose.
All I know is that this week could really be a total game changer for my roster and myself, because I'm okay if I lose a bench player. I'm good, right? I'll figure that out.
Plus, it means you won.
Starter. Yeah, well, so losing a starter would, I think, be more crippling this week, because my thought process here is, if I lose my starter, yeah, I've got this fab money and I'll be able to go and get him back. That's okay. But now I deplete that fab. But if I win and if I pull this out, not only does my starting squad stay intact, now I can spend that same fab money on a complete difference maker. And, you know, there's going to be some heavy hitters. There might be a Patrick Mahomes. There might be a Justin Jefferson. There's going to be some heavy guys on the waiver wires this week. So I'm just hoping that I can squeak out a win, and I definitely don't have an easy opponent. So I'm ready to see what happens when the dust settles this week.
Yeah, we got 12 competitors. They're going to be going for 6 starters, plus whatever quality comes off the benches on the other side. So 12 players going back into the pool, and there's only so much fab money to go around. Everybody's not going to talk about this. And I don't know if you're aware of it, because we are doing these intimate sessions, but some players have talked about at least entertaining the thought of doing a side deal, kind of like you did with Elio. One, I'm a little surprised that people would do a side deal, seeing what happened between you and Elio, but that same week, some side deals did go through. You have the misfortune of going up against Gladys and Nikki this week, so there's 100% no deal going to happen. Absolutely none. Not that I think you have much of a chance of making a side deal anymore anyway, at least not for a while after the first one. But my question is, would you entertain a side deal if it was available to you on this game breaker? And well, let's just start there. Would you, if you somehow had the opportunity to make a side deal, would you entertain the option with this one?
So what I love most about this league is it's not just, you know, fantasy football prowess, right? There's many layers of complexity and strategic things that you have to do here to kind of weave your way through. And
you can't just like wing it on this. Like you got to put some effort in this thing. And,
yeah. A lot of effort, a lot of thought. And, you know, I'm a big Survivor fan on top of football, right? And so I love those guys like the Russell Hanses, the Boston Robs of this world. They're always working an angle. And you may doubt my abilities, Chris, but I guarantee you in the right matchup this week, I could work that magic again, no problem. And so with Elio, you know, I'm taking a beating for that because, you know, I wasn't a man of my word, and I get it. I could have,
but it was smart.
Much worse.
You could.
I had to. Win or lose. Like, do I want the win? Do I want the loss? Right? We're competing for 5K here, and more importantly, I want the bragging rights to say I'm the champion of this damn thing. And so, yeah, if I have to stab a couple backs along the way, so be it. So I would hope, though, that, you know, my chaos that I created with Elio gives everybody just a slight hesitation on whether they want to work together. And, you know, who knows? Maybe this week somebody pulls a Jordan, stabs somebody else in the back, and takes the heat off me a little bit, which makes me primed to find my next victim.
So a little strategy going and being the one to start the back stabbing in the sense that you kind of lessen the likelihood that more side deals are going to happen because now people understand what this game is about. They see. All right, so we pull up Nikki and Gladys's roster. I mean, obviously no slouch. I mean, they've been winning or come close to winning. They do drop this one to Elio this week, but they didn't have to. They admit to giving this one away accidentally. You look at this roster. I'm not asking for any insight, but I look at this roster and I definitely know where I'm, you know, who I'm picking to get knocked off their team.
So I'm pretty adamant on who I am going to pick.
There's options. There's definitely options here. And so it's not obvious.
To me, this team is incredibly top heavy. And like, I mean, it's, you know, we're all smart guys here. You know, it's not going to be Chase Edmonds that I'm targeting. Let's be real, you know.
And they know that.
She's got the top wide receiver. She's got the top running back. She's got the top quarterback. One of them's got to go. Well, that's too much power for one team. One of them's got to go.
Too much power for one team to have. That is one of the things that GameBreakers do, and it really is the intent is kind of to even the playing field and make it so you can't just ride that top roster to the 5K. But it's kind of been rough. Like these GameBreakers have been a lot rougher than we anticipated them being. And it has a lot to do with the order that they came through. Just before we wrap things up, you're responsible for the arguably one of the most devastating game breakers with the 187. But you have said, and people have said it about this one, they said it about the one last week, and they say every week, you know, this one doesn't seem so hard. And then you start getting into the strategy of it, and that's when you find out, oh man, like this is really bad.
I feel like what makes them more difficult is when you don't know what the other person's going to do, right? And so this is where it's really different from other leagues. Like, I could have a 40-point win as of Sunday or as of Monday, and that doesn't matter because of, you know, whatever tricks or anything that have been pulled with a game breaker, double ups, etc. So, like, you literally never know where you're at in this league or who's winning or what's going on. And so it's so challenging. It's just nonstop, constantly looking. And the other thing, you know, we haven't brought this up or haven't said anything, but like, getting a trade done in fantasy football leagues is pretty damn tough. Like most people are, you know, if you're not just absolutely giving away the farm for something, they don't want to deal with you. If you're not trading in the trenches, I think you're falling behind because people are making moves every single week. Looking at you, Team Ramrod, like I'm just trying to make sure that I keep pace with all the wheeling and dealing you're doing. A perfect example, I had a deal done with Chef Boyard DJ. I was getting my boy Ramondre Stevenson back, who I did not want to drop, but one of these damn game breakers made me do it. Next thing I know, Ramrod swoops in and grabs him. So it's just you got to be on your heels nonstop.
It's 100% true. You don't know what's going to happen in this thing, and it'll drive you crazy. You have to strategize. You can't just sit back and do it. And you're definitely working the system, expert, like an expert, like a master. And we'll see if it all pays off in the end. Again, you got Gladys and Nikki, and they're pretty good at this strategy stuff too. So it's really going to be interesting because the point that you bring up is 100% true. You are going to know what your opponent's score is, but you're not going to have any clue to what yours is at the end of this week. Thanks to that game breaker. Jordan, thanks for joining us. And best of luck this week to you and to your competitors. But since I'm sitting in front of you, I'll give you the love right now. Look, everybody's doing great. Everybody's got a great chance. And thanks for stopping in and doing this thing with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to bringing a little chaos to Nikki and Gladys's life this weekend.
That's why he's called Captain Chaos, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch him and everybody else on the trenches every week, live Tuesday, 6:45, and then keep watching the channel for episodes like this to drop down and wet your palate until the competition comes. Who's going to win? They won't even know until Tuesday night. Make sure you tune in to find out. Go to the Armchair Athletics on YouTube, like, subscribe, and go to www.thearmchairathletics.com. Look up their profiles, click the links to the charities, and put a little money in the put a little good out into the world this week. They appreciate it, and so do we. Have a great week, everybody. Happy fantasy football, and we'll see you soon. Have fun in the trenches.